How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. It is the big thing. It is the Sith Council. It is Wednesday. It's our spoiler-heavy review of The Acolyte, Episode 5 of Season 1. Thanks for joining us here today. If you haven't been here before, subscribe to the channel. Be part of the conversation. We do a lot of things here, not just the reactions, reviews, all that. I just had a great interview. If you're a Stranger Things fan, I just interviewed Jamie Campbell Bower from Season 4 and Season 5 of the show, so make sure you check that out. It was a great interview. The guy is just amazing. He talked about his new movie, Horizon, American Saga Part 1, so you can head on over there and check that out. But we are talking about The Acolyte Episode 5. Now, this one already, I did my immediate reaction to it last night, and I went back and I watched it again. And there are some things that I feel differently about, but mostly the same. I saw a lot of comments, and people, because I didn't love the episode, and I saw a lot of comments. People were, I mean, the rational people. There were, of course, there are morons on both sides, and there were a lot of them on both sides last night in the comment section, but there were a lot of very rational people who said, I can't believe you didn't love the episode. I loved it too. And a lot of the things that they were saying, I was agreeing with, which was saber fights, great. Action, great. Music, great. Featuring a little bit more on the dark side, great. But it didn't surpass the story that it is just, there's so many choices that are made in the story that it's just like, wait, what's happening? So we're going to discuss all of that. I'm pretty sure I know what Mike feels about this episode. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm curious to hear what Steph says, because we have been on the same page for the first 4 episodes, and I wonder how she feels about this one. So when you comment on this one, be one of the rational people, whether you agree or disagree. Have a good conversation about it, and we'll get into it. So it's myself, it's Steph Sabra, it's Mike Kalinowski. Let's do it. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the big thing. It's the Sith Council episode. It's the Acolyte, episode 5. It's myself, Steph Sabra, Mike Kalinowski. We got the whole crew here. So, Steph, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
I'm so excited to talk to both you guys about this one because, man, oh man, I did my immediate reaction last night. And there were a lot of people, like I said, there were a lot of rational people. A lot of people said, oh, man, like normally I'm on the same page with you, but I loved this episode. I thought it worked so well. I liked the saber. I didn't. And there were a lot of people who said, I didn't like the first 4 episodes, but this one really hit. Those were the rational people. Now, of course, I got some people who just love to abuse the word hate. And they said, oh, you're just a hater to be a hater now. And I was like, no, I'm just giving my opinion on this particular episode. And I said, I just, for the story purposes, don't love it. Then there was this complete idiot who goes, there you go. You want to weed out the misogynist and racist. Here you go. Because I didn't like a Star Wars episode. So I'm a misogynist and racist now. So you're going to get that. But for the most part, there are people who are, and there were a lot of people who felt the same way I did. I'm going to tell you the positives first. And then I want to hear from Steph. Because I went back and I watched this episode this morning because what I wanted to do was have a fresh head on it after I kind of sat on it. And as I said in the beginning, the choreography in this is great. I will go back on something I said in the immediate reaction because I don't feel that way. I actually almost feel the opposite. I said it was the worst episode of the 5. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. It was just I was in that state. I would say it's close to the best. It's close to the best. It is. I will say that. I remember this is what comes with the immediate reactions when people. It's how you're feeling at the moment when you see it. And I went back and I revisited. It's the best. It's the best of the 5. The fighting, the choreography on this show is fantastic. The idea of finally placing a Sith in there, and the fact that he's wiping out Jedi, and the fact that they went brutal with it. That stuff worked well. That was the stuff I said, okay, that I understand what people are talking about. They even used Kylo Ren's music in this. Did you guys hear that at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, they used Kylo Ren's music at the very end of it. Yeah. So there's a lot. Well, I mean, that's a good question too. But there's a lot of things in here that I said worked, but it doesn't change the fact that there is so much silliness and the writing. And we're going to get into it with like May, at one point at the end of episode 4, she decides she wants to be good. She decides she wants to go back to her sister. And in this one, she's hiding out in the cabin. She's hanging out in the cabin. She then decides she's just going to run around the woods and let people chase her. And then when it comes down to it, she fights the Jedi again. She tries to recruit her sister. She can't. And then she decides she wants to be bad and has a haircut. It's like that's just one of the many different things in the story. But Steph, I didn't even get into all of it. But overall, what did you think of this episode?
I think it's the best of the episodes. I think it reminded me of the things that I do actually really enjoy about the show. There are a lot of cool aspects. Like I said, if you put like a lot of the things on a Pinterest board of the vibe that they're putting down, I'm into it.
Yeah.
And I do genuinely love the actors. I think what they're given, they're doing good work with, and I like this entire planet that they're filming on. I think it looks really good. I just have never thought so much watching a Star Wars show, but also a show that I'm choosing to watch in recent memory. Like, I'm constantly like, why'd they do that? How does that make sense?
Like, you're second guessing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just like, why are all like these Jedi? Are they the worst trained Jedi ever? Like, and how is this guy
why?
so lit?
Steph, the reason why, and it was so painfully obvious, and I said it as I'm watching when I was doing the reaction. He's killing the extras. He's killing the extras because we don't know who they are, and all the people that we know are able to fight him. Daphne Keen's able to fight him. She's a Padawan. She's able to fight him pretty well until she craps out. Yord's able to fight him, and Saul's able to fight him. Where Saul was in the beginning, he's like taking a dump in the woods. Who knows where he is because he just disappears. But yeah, the other Jedi, basically what they wanted to show was, look how devastating this guy is. You don't care about any of these extras, so we're going to show you how menacing he is by the cool deaths, which they were. They were cool deaths. But
they were cool, but I also question, like, how does he not have like a single weak spot right now? Why are their lightsabers turning off? And I guess that's because of the metal of his helmet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Have we ever seen lightsabers turn off?
No, he did something with it they didn't really explain, but maybe they will. But
okay.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I'm like, I feel like there's space open for me to be like, okay, I could be on board if you explain it. Like, to me, I guess I'm just not okay with seeing the most powerful person ever and not understanding where they trained, how they trained, like where they got any of this.
Well, to be fair, we're only in episode 5, so now that he's revealed that we could get that, and it looks like they're go ahead, Steph.
I'm just saying those are the questions going through my head. And so while I think like on the second watch, I was able to just kind of enjoy more of what they were giving. But on the first watch, I'm thinking, how's he doing that? And then it's taking me out a little, but it did look really good. And there were really cool aspects of it. Again, Osha's my least favorite character by far.
The twins are my least favorite right now. It's because it's not their act. It's not Amanda's acting.
No, at all.
The twins are not interesting. They're not interesting.
It's the character arcs that I just simply can't understand.
Yeah. All right. Mike has been chomping at the bit. I feel like he's a pit bull. Like he's been just like on a chain. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I like you guys. It's my favorite of the 5.
Yeah.
Easily. But that says something to the fact that it's probably the least story-driven one.
Yeah.
So that got to tell you something. But, like, story is key. Like, what's going on here? Like, so you guys thought that he was able to turn the people's lightsabers off?
With his helmet or something?
I thought they had problems and it was like a flashlight and they're hitting the batteries. Like, come on. Like, I'm like, well, when did this happen?
No, it happened because it happened like twice because it happened
I know it happened all the time. It happened like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
But was he doing it? Like, shorting out their sabers, or was it just suddenly because the script needed them to have their lightsabers down? They're like, oh, it doesn't work.
No, I think it was. It looked like it was part of the clash.
Okay, then he's got this helmet that can deflect lightsabers because he's headbutting, which looks cool. Because the stunt team probably is like, it'd be cool if he headbutts it.
Yeah,
that's gonna be cool. But they don't talk and go, hey, we never again see any kind of armor that deflects against lightsabers that the Sith have, so probably we shouldn't do that. It's like this thing is like all like little cool pieces which people want to do, but they never talk and go, you know what? We're part of a tapestry that we got to make sure, like, wouldn't the Sith know when they create Vader, like, hey, man, remember this guy 100 years ago? He had armor that could defeat sabers. So let's encase Vader in this kind of stuff.
Right. And that's true.
Then,
right.
like to me, we'll get into it, but the the Parent Trap of this episode, where the Jedi are trained to.
Oh, don't even bring it up yet, because it's gonna be such a long part of the conversation.
We'll get there.
You know what
bugged me?
Yeah.
This. Every single episode for 5 episodes has been OSHA run, OSHA dock, OSHA come, OSHA stop, citizen to the ship. What? The fuck is that? Citizen to the ship. The fuck are you talking about? Where did that come from? For what reason? You OSHA the whole 5 episodes, and now it's citizen to the ship. What? That made no fucking sense. These writers suck.
Whoa.
Saul's running in the woods. They're all running everywhere.
Well, that was that.
They're not all attacking at once. Now, here's the thing.
Hold on. Stick with that, because it's a good point you made. It's a good point you made. Wait, it's a good point you made. I want to stay this so we don't lose it. It's a good point. So when you start in that scene where you start the show, where May comes out and sees all or OSHA sees all the saber fights happening, and we zoom in and he's fighting all of the Jedi because. So what are we supposed to believe? That he pushed Saul so far back into the woods that Saul is now nowhere to be seen while they're all fighting him and they're all going after him and he's wiping them all out. Saul's nowhere to be seen. Yord is, doing on a boat. Who knows?
Know why? Because they're the powerful ones that they've got to. They're the actors. And they can't have them in there. Right. But here's the thing that did it better, and I hate to do this from this to that. Like Lucas, when the Jedi went to get Palpatine, and they were like, you know what, you're under arrest, and he just destroyed them. Every Jedi in that room we had met before in the previous film, so we knew who they were. So when they were killed instantly, like not Plo Koon, but Stacey Teen and all those guys, we saw the 4 of them before. We knew who they were. So when they died, we're like, oh shit, this is tough. So these Jedi were like, doesn't matter. But then again, Star Wars needs to pick. The Disney era of Star Wars needs to pick. Is a lightsaber through the stomach going to kill you?
Right.
Or are you going to be able to heal? Because for when old Rebels chick, Sabine gets it through the thing, it's like, you're okay.
And Reva too, yeah.
Reva, but several Jedi, and I'm not talking Jackie. She got the triple tap. But several of Jedi just got a lightsaber in the stomach or something. So what are we doing? You guys need to get on the same page and go, all right, this is a lightsaber that could kill you. Here won't kill you. You got to figure it out.
I think it's rules. It's rules from all the way around. Like and there's a moment.
Establish it.
Yeah, and we'll go through the pictures and we'll just talk about it so we can stay like in chronological order. But like there was a particular moment that stood out to me was where they have this battle. And when Obi-Wan was fighting Darth Maul, and granted he wasn't disarmed, but when he was fighting him, he flipped up, sliced him in half, threw him down a thing, right? They were going after whoever they were going after, whatever Sith it was. If someone dropped their saber, if they disarmed them, well, then they'd be able to kill them because they were fighting them with a weapon and then they disarmed them. It's like, you're not supposed to kill a disarmed Sith. I just disarmed him. Now I'm going to kill him because he killed everyone that I'm with. And Osha's like, Saul, no. So what are you talking about? Kill the guy.
Oh my god. That I actually blacked that out. I actually blacked out that moment because that was
kill him.
What do you mean? He just massacred
everyone,
the whole crew, and now all of a sudden Osha has a conscience that I've never like. Out of all the things that character has shown different aspects of herself, never one has been like saving. Like if we saw her like trying to save someone before that like needed redemption, like her sister doesn't count because that's her sister. That's not the same thing to me. But in that moment, this is like the most dangerous person I've ever kind of seen on screen of Star Wars.
Right.
He just wiped out a whole platoon of Jedi.
Right.
And you have the moment to kill him, and you just are like, no, don't.
It made no sense, but it wasn't. They're like, oh, well, he's disarmed, and Jedi won't kill disarmed. He wasn't just sitting around having coffee. He was.
Walk up and stab him in the back.
His whole body is a weapon.
He was just disarmed by Saul. They were in a fight, and he dropped the saber. Kill him, take him out, and then figure out later. Plus the fact, and then we'll get into the whole idea of like, all right, so he says He literally says, Darth No Name is what I guess we'll call him because he says he doesn't have a name. So Darth No Name says, I'm a Sith. I'm this. Now you know who I am. You brought her along, so now I got to kill everybody. And he says it as much, right? So, first of all, if you're trying to protect your identity, why do you say that in front of people when they're right there, right? He's talking to whoever's there. I think at that point, Yord shows up, and the same thing. It's like you're revealing everything now. What Saul gets away, and fake May is with him, and then you got the little shit rat running around the place too, and all these people are they know. No one makes a phone call now and says, "Hey, call Yoda, call someone. The Sith are back." No one makes that. That's the first call you make. Not where is May, where is Osha. It's holy shit, the Sith are back. I gotta call somebody at the temple.
You know why they didn't do that? Because it would kill what they're trying to do.
Which is
this? I don't know, but like. They don't want the Jedi to know that the Sith are around anymore. So, well, we can't. It's logic, script logic that doesn't make sense. But they're changing things and not doing logical things that people would do because it doesn't fit what they need in the story, and it sucks.
Well, that's what was driving me nuts. It's like when
smart writers can do what they need to do.
Yeah, it was driving me nuts. Like when I was everyone, what are you talking about? This is the greatest episode ever. Oh. And I said, but what I was saying was, I'm like, look, and I responded to that. If people love this episode, then great. And someone even wrote it in the comments. They were so starved because Star Wars, for some reason, has been so negligent with lightsaber battles, and they haven't had lightsaber battles. So when you finally get to see them and you see a Sith fighting Jedi, of course that's fun. Of course that's great, and it's done very well in the episode. Like really, really well. The choreography is some of the best choreography we've seen in a very long time in Star Wars, and it should get its props. But it, again, should not negate the fact that there's all these ridiculous plot things and that are going on throughout the entire episode. And I mean, even with let's start with if we show some of these pictures, right? Because if we go right from the beginning and we see that we of course have, you know, Osha, she's outside of the thing. She sees all the saber fights going on, and she rushes over to see all the extras get killed. But they're showing you through great choreography. Look at how powerful this guy is. That is what this is establishing. It's look how powerful he is, and he's got cool deaths. He does some really great stuff, and he's able to throw two people on a saber at one time. His arms. Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, his arms are jacked up. He's like he's the threat. He's a threat, and I thought Manny Kinzo did a really good job as a villain, even though predictable that we knew it was going to happen. I will say, yeah, go ahead.
I will. I'll say a couple things. Like Manny Jacinto, is it the last name? But like, so. I didn't care of him up until this point. But now seeing the reveal and seeing how good he was in this episode, I get what he was doing in those earlier episodes.
Yeah, he was doing the Kaiser Soze.
But in like I wasn't. But I love the fact that like last episode he was lugging a big bag around with him. Like didn't just like, oh, we're just gonna have him appear as the bad guy, because they made it. They put the seeds there that if it were to turn out that way, you see where it could have happened. So I appreciate it. What they didn't do, like the witch girl with the horns, like take her helmet off. And
I know.
The horns
I thought it was coming.
But so I was cool with that, and he was the best part of that episode. I thought acting wise.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he was good.
Like we talk about when we say, and it's one of the reasons why I don't like Venestra or Ventrestra. She's to me playing what she thinks a Jedi is, where she's very soft and very stoic. Where he didn't play what he thinks a Sith is. He just was himself as an actor.
He looked pissed off. It looked pissed off, hurt.
But it was
like
but he wasn't doing what we've seen with Sith in the past and playing what he thinks a Sith bad guy is. Yeah. He brought his own character to it, and it made it genuine.
I agree. I thought he was great. And I thought there were a couple of lines that I think Steph said it great before, that it's not the actor, it's kind of the dialogue that they're given, because there were a couple times, come on, you didn't know it was me? It's like, what do you mean? Why would she know it was you? And it's the same same thing that he says to Saul at one point. He's like, you don't know who I am? How would I know you are? You had a helmet on the whole time. How am I going to know who you are? And there's a couple lines, but it's not him. He is really good in it. And I agree with you, Mike. He plays it in a way that it's not like, oh, this is how he thinks. He's trying to be evil.
Right.
Look at him. He's trying to be evil. He's not. He's just he is a pissed off Dude, and I did like what I will say about the story because I'm intrigued. Yes, there's a little bit more mystery now again, but we have more episodes. What the hell did Saul get himself into? Because clearly Saul has a history with this dude where he said, because he says to him, he's like, what kind of master doesn't show his face to his pupil? And he goes, you would know, or something along those lines. It's like, okay. And he said, do you have a dark history? And I've embraced my darkness. Have you? That stuff worked. There's stuff, like I said, it wasn't a complete like wet fart. It was just like a matter of like, there were certain things that you're like, oh, it did make me realize though. And this is what I said earlier. Did you really need the twins in this show? You could have done a whole series with Daphne Keene and Saul and, and the history between Saul and whoever Manny Quinto's character turns out to be. And that's the story with the master and the apprentice, and then you could have Daphne Keene playing all those moments that the twins are playing right now. And imagine if she also died, how tragic that would be because you'd have more time with her.
You make a good point because I'm thinking back, and again, we've got 3 episodes left. It almost seems like the whole witch thing didn't matter
yet.
They just that's what I'm saying. But I don't see. Again, we got 3 episodes. Like, what are we gonna do in these 3 episodes now? Like,
she said that he has the same powers as her mom.
Right.
So I feel like it has to tie in, or else it's like, where did you learn that? That doesn't make that's the stuff that I'm eager to see, because when they pitched the show, I thought it was going to be a kind of more from the perspective of the dark side and seeing how they built up the power. So maybe 100%. We get that in the second half, but it's like, that's what I'm saying with this episode. It's like, I'm questioning these moments because I'm like, damn, I want to know that in a good way. But it's like, why did we take this long to get to this character who seems like the most interesting character on the screen?
Yeah. And I think that there is still a possibility. I mean, look, the Sith are always trying to maneuver past their master. That's the whole point of the Sith and the rule of 2 is that there's one that has the power and then there's the other who craves it, right? Now, what Manny says at this one point is he says, I'm looking for an apprentice. I'm looking for an acolyte. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not the apprentice.
Right.
He very well could be the apprentice to where I still would get my unfortunate wish of the Zabrak being the master.
You think?
Right.
I don't think that that's the case, but if it is, I wouldn't be surprised in the writing right now that that is what is going down. But nonetheless, if we jump back to the scenes here, we see all the fighting that's going down with. She sees it in the woods, and as we said, we get the powerful Sith who is just wrecking shop, and it is a big fight battle. And but there's a couple times throughout the fights where it's like, okay, he's in the middle of these fights and he's killing people, and then he just runs away, and he comes back and he's like, here I am again, peekaboo. and that happens like a handful of times, where it just like seems there's these big fights, and then finally it's like, okay, well, there's Saul. We got Saul. He's back. And now we'll really get into it because it's like this back and forth stuff where a couple different. The throw with the lightsaber was fantastic, and then you get like the fake trees fall over, and and there's one shot where you just get like the face like, you betrayed me, and it's like you're so there, you're like almost there, and then you jump into this other scene, and this thing that drove me nuts. There's a couple different things, but the one thing that drove me nuts. Here's this guy. He's been wiping out Jedi like it's nothing, and he just kills. He kills Yord. He just kills Jecki. This guy, he's one of the most brutal things we've seen in a long time. And Osha, who is barely trained in the Force, sticks a robot light in his back, and and then all the birds pick him up in the sky, and it was ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, did you guys, Steph, did you find that scene silly or did it not bother you?
It only bothered me. It didn't bother me that much. What bothered me was that I feel like it came after when Osha said, don't kill him, right? Because he's unarmed.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
And so I just think, obviously, you have to keep him alive because we have 3 more episodes. So I understand that. But this guy's so powerful. Like, I just would have rather the choice of letting him leave on his own volition.
Yes.
And then you guys you reconvene.
They wanted Osha to have something to do.
Right.
And that's the other thing. So, all right, so the Sith can't sense Osha coming, which he senses all these other sabers at his head. He senses everything else. He can't sense a robot to the back of the neck, right? And then, you got that. Then Osha shoots May. May goes down with, when you had the stunner, right? So she goes up, but she pops up 2 minutes later, whatever it might be. And then May shoots at Sol, who's been battling a Sith, doesn't sense the blaster, goes down and is out for like which seems like 5 nights of partying in Vegas. He's out for like four days, and he's out. And you get like this. It's just like certain moments like that, and then I don't care if we're jumping all over the place at this point, because then you get the fact that you got to have the sensing is like most powerful. Saul senses the Sith. He knows, he's like, oh, I know, there's something familiar about you. But he can't sense when May cuts her hair off and has a witch tattoo on her face, and he doesn't know that it's her. What are we doing?
I'm hoping that maybe he does.
And he's just kind of, and he's playing her.
He's not clever enough for that, Steph. No way.
But would you be forgiving Mike if it turns out that's what it was?
I don't. At this point, guys, like it would have. Like, we're talking about the writing and whatnot. Now, back to last episode real quick. Someone made a point. The writer of the last episode was on Twitter answering questions. And they had said, Ki-Adi-Mundi, that was an interesting choice. Why? And they're like, well, we wanted Yoda in there. But Lucasfilm said the puppet or whatever's busy, so we couldn't. So we put Ki-Adi-Mundi.
The puppet's busy.
I'm like, okay, we're going to get to that somehow. But anyway, like, so they're all dead. They're leaving the planet. You know what irked the shit out of me? They're leaving. Saul looks at the trees like, ugh, and gets on the ship. You didn't bring the bodies? All your dead friends.
100%. All of them. They're all laying around.
And this, to me, when I say we've got the two camps of Star Wars, the Disney people ruined it. Everything is awesome. The Everything is Awesome crowd that is last night, best episode ever. If you didn't like, how do you guys as fans of Star Wars that love the lore go, wow, that Jedi left all his brothers and sisters just in this fucking forest. Right. You don't get pissed at that.
And it wasn't that
was a blatant bullshit.
And it wasn't like it's not one of these things where like, well, there's 17 really powerful people who are out in the woods and they're
hunting us. We got to get out of here.
If it's one guy, then confront him again and get your bodies out of there. I thought the same thing. You got all these, and he just because the last scene, one of the last scenes is where Darth Nobody is walking through. And he's just walking over the bodies, and it's like you just left because you left Yord there, you left Jackie there, you left everybody there. It's like
Jackie's there, like what?
Yeah, it really, really like that was. Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I felt the same way. I'm like, how do you leave?
It wasn't like they were. We got to get out of here. We'll bring reinforcements. We'll come back and we'll take help. No, They were just casually strolling. Well, we lost the game. That sucks.
Yeah, get the two guys that are playing chess on the way back. Yeah. You get those two guys and say, hey, guys,
help me out here. I got some bodies we need to bring to the ship here.
You guys have been slapping your balls around the whole time, playing chess while we're like losing everybody. And nobody even looks over and says, hey, where is everybody else? They go, oh,
more people when you left here. What happened?
Checkmate. And then you get the shit rat who they didn't even ask where he was. Like they didn't even, if he didn't sneak back onto the ship, they would have left without him.
Right.
He's like sniffing underwear or whatever he's doing on his way in, and he's like, and he's the one that figures all this stuff out. He knows. He knows.
Like, something's different here. Something stinks in Denver.
Something stinks in Denver. I'll tell you what doesn't stink in Denver: nerd armor. And I told you guys about this. Like I was contacted by Nerd Armor, and look at this. This is absolutely this is a Darth Malgus saber.
Is that it making noises?
Yeah. So check this out. This is from Nerd Armor, and it lights up.
So cool.
Yeah. And you can change. So you go to the app itself, and you can change the settings. You can change the color, and it's absolutely incredible. It's pretty incredible, and you connect it to the app. You can do different sounds. It's got if I do it towards the red one, also the red saber, and you can put Palpatine's voice on it, which is amazing. And you can get all these different sound fonts, which is great because if you buy a Pixel or a Profile Saber, the customers get over $150 in custom sound bites from JLorian.com, and you can load that into your Sabres card. It's pretty awesome. You can choose. They have all these different hilts. You can get Jedi, you can get Sith, and I put the link in the description, and you can definitely get a code there from me because it's really, really amazing. I love it. Steph, you're looking at this. What do you think about this?
It's so cool. I feel like I shouldn't do this, but if I ever had a home invasion, I feel like that would be pretty.
It's the best.
Optimal. That'd be an optimal weapon.
I absolutely when they got in contact with me, I was like, yeah. And when I was talking to the guy who owns the company, he goes, well, what would you want? I said, surprise me. And I was like, but go to the dark side. Let's do dark side stuff. And he sent me this one and this hilt. Look at the hilt. It's
so cool.
It is.
It's so legit.
It's so legit. And I told him, I was like, I love this thing. My new office. I was, there's a lot of like really legit business people in this office that I'm in New York. And I'm like walking around with like a lightsaber, like just like, I'm like, pay your taxes. So anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so check that out. And then the other thing I'm going to tell you about real quick, I'm going to tell you about CAMEO body wash. Here you go. So let's talk about CAMEO. So it's a body wash that I just got introduced to not too long ago, but I love it. And why? I've been working hard. And when I get and it's been hot. It's been hot. I'm stink like an alley cat. But I want to just go home. I want to take a shower. I want to relax. And I really like to just enjoy it and say, oh, I feel good. I feel clean. When my wife was like, what are you wearing? Is it a new cologne? I didn't buy any new cologne. I said, no, it's this new body wash that I got from CAMEO. You want to elevate and you want to enhance your hygiene routine with CAMEO body wash. It combines a rich lathering and hydrating formula with meticulously balanced, multi-layered fragrances for a superior shower experience. You really do just feel wonderful. You got that regular shower. It makes it feel like a luxury experience. You got the bourbon vanilla body wash right away after stinking up the joint. I was like, oh, I smell good. They have a new bourbon vanilla men's body wash, which is great, and it's worth trying out. It's like you never tried it with the scent. You'll step out of the shower and you're gonna feel like a new man. I promise you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. And what makes it different is that it's got a distinct layered scent, and it evolves as you wash. It's great. Nice. You can find the CAMEO men's body wash in its new distinctive bourbon vanilla scent at Walmart. If you go to walmart.com, that's it. Just go to Walmart or walmart.com. So make sure you check it out. It's CAMEO. They're the best. So you're going to love them. All right. Thank you to our friends over at CAMEO Body Wash and, of course, Nerd Armor. You can go in the links to the description to get both of those, and you should really check it out. All right. As we continue on with the Acolyte spoilers. All right. So, look, a lot of it was just, and which is cool. You say this a couple of like months ago. You tell me I'm getting a full episode of sabers and of battles and Jedi versus Sith in a freaking forest, and I'm losing my mind. And it almost makes me think, and I asked the question of both you guys, should they maybe even started with something like this? Like where they're like, within the first episode, if I was rewriting this thing, like I said, I would get rid of the twins. I would make the story about Daphne Keene. I would put her as the main lead. With her and Sol, it would almost be like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and it's all about them, and there's still this dark history that Sol has, and the training and the idea of who Jackie is, and you really make it all about her, and then the idea of what is happening. There is a murder mystery. Because if you can have an actual murder, there's no murder mystery. Right away it's May and the Sith. They're planning together. What's the murder mystery? The murder mystery would be like right away when you see it, these two Jedi have to investigate the murder. It's like Jocasta, what's her name? The one you don't like, Mike? Venestra?
Ooh, Venestra.
Venestra sends the two of them out and says, a Jedi has been murdered. We need you guys to figure it out. And it's an investigation with the two of them, like True Detective. And they're doing it the whole time. And in that, we start to find out the darkness that's in Sol, and there's more to it. The Sith is running around, and the Sith's trying to, whether it's the Sith is trying to recruit Jackie or whatever the Sith is trying to do, the Sith's trying to infiltrate and follow the rule of 2 and bring this Darth Bane in. It's like there. They have it in this story somewhere. But I just don't think that what's the point of the twins right now, Steph? Do you think that the twins are serving something to this story?
I can understand what their intention is. It's just the way it's landing isn't working for me.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like at the end of the day, I'm like getting tired of myself complaining.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe I'm on the side of like the people who didn't like Andor, and I just said like it's not for you, and I just feel like the show's just not for me, and maybe I'm just not seeing it how it's I don't know, like I feel like I don't know how
to deal.
I don't know how to deal. I hate being a hater.
Yeah. But you're not. But you're not a hater. You're not a hater. You're just not enjoying it. That's the difference.
I don't like not having fun with things,
right.
And I just think that there was so many good intentions put into this show, but just like a lot of it's just not working for me. And so the fights are really cool. Obviously, I love fight scenes in any type of show, especially Star Wars. But when I don't care about the characters, which I've said is the most important thing to me, then it's not hitting the way it's supposed to.
Right. Mike?
Like I cared more about when Darth Vader went through in the Obi-Wan series, the episode I loved, when he's going through the streets and like randomly kills civilians from their houses. I don't need to know those characters, but like that really worked for me because they're not Jedi.
Right. I know what you mean. Mike?
What's interesting for me, we're talking 5 episodes in now, and I'm thinking back to the other Star Wars shows. And like this, we all agree this lightsaber stuff was awesome. But that was the stunt team and the stunt coordinator, maybe even a second unit director that did all that.
Right.
We haven't had an episode this season where I've like, remember with Mandalorian, we're like, oh man, Deborah Chow, get her to direct something because their episode wowed us. Bryce Dallas Howard, she nailed this, put her in charge of a series. Like I haven't seen one episode where I'm like, man, this person, whoever they were, nailed this.
I'd like to see this person do fight choreography. I'll tell you that.
No, the stunt team, whoever did it, I'm sure that's their like, and maybe the director, he was a stunt coordinator that got moved up to director for this episode, and maybe that's why this one is so great. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. If that's the case, awesome. Like when a David Leitch that was a stunt director coordinator went up to second unit director, became a director.
Right.
That's what happened with this guy. He's got a stunt background. It played off in spades because that was awesome.
Yeah.
But again, that's not a story. That's not if your story, if the meat of the story is not good, then the side items are kind of like, they were good, but it's not fulfilling because it's not the story. It's just like the choices that some of them make, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I still don't know at this point what the story's about.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's talk about.
May wanted to kill Jedi. Then she said no.
I don't know what. Let's talk about May because I don't understand what she's doing. I don't understand. Like, at the end of the 4th episode or during it, she decides to put Darth Nobody into a trap, and he falls for it. Now, whether or not he falls for it on purpose or whatever, you give that a pass. He gets caught in a tree and he's hanging upside. And he's hanging upside down or whatever he's doing. And it's fine. But she says, I don't want to do this. I want to be with my sister. The time has come. I don't want to do this anymore. And we're like, oh, okay, she's going to have the face turn we thought she was going to have. So she's hiding in this shed the whole time, watching. She never says, hey, guys, listen, I didn't do this. I know that I'm, guilty of a lot of this other stuff, but I've had a change of heart here. Even when Jackie comes in to see her, she doesn't say anything, just fights her, puts a blade to her neck, does anything. It's like, all right. And then she just wants to see her sister. So she tries to see her sister at the end. Sister doesn't want anything to do with her. So she says, okay, well then I'm going to cut my hair off and now I'm going to get back in good graces with Darth Nobody. So I'm going to go kill Saul. It's like, it's like bipolar almost. It's like, well, what, I don't know what it is. Like what, like, yeah.
I have no idea what her new motivation is. And because it seemed as though when she said that I want to be with my sister, that she was no longer killing the Jedi.
Right.
So then why go on the ship? But then she did have ample opportunity to kill Soul. So I do think because he had his back turned walking in front of her most of the time. So I think that I hope there's more to that. Like maybe she's trying to infiltrate in a different way.
Right.
Or yeah, I'm not
why
sure.
the turn then? Last episode, she was like, "Nope, I'm done. I don't like this. I don't want to do this anymore."
Right.
And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot of different. It's just you don't understand really what is happening, you know. And then there's just a lot of conflicting things. And as Steph said, we don't know yet with this one, but we should hopefully find out why Manny's doing what he's doing. I will say that, and here's a question for both of you. I think that the most emotional moment for me in this episode was when Jackie died. And I was asking myself, though, do I care because they developed her well and I really like Jackie, or do I like Daphne Keene?
Right.
And I feel it was the latter. I feel it was because they just didn't give her enough. Every time she was in it, thought she was great. She just didn't have anything to do. And then she finally has something to do. This episode, they kill her off. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I'm torn because, and again, I'm just going off of what is given to me. In the very first episode, we meet Jackie. She's training in the temple, A, B, C, with my stick Jedi skills. And now she's Obi-Wan Kenobi level Clone Wars awesome. Like, that's what she gave us. When we first met her, she's in there in the temple. I don't know how to do this, Master. Learn. You'll learn, right. Padawan.
Right.
3 episodes later, which is a couple days or whatever, and she's Obi-Wan Kenobi level.
Or even Ahsoka.
Show her at the beginning when we first meet her, she's the badass in that class. And he's like, whoa, easy. She's like, no. She's like, you're very skilled, but be humble. And she's like, show a Jedi that's like badass and like, settle down, little one.
Well, but that's my point. Is that if
they show her being this novice.
They gave more time to the twins, who I think are not as interesting as Jackie was. I think Jackie is pretty interesting, and the other character. Or if you're going to focus on all of them, and this was my major issue when you do 36-minute episodes, and that's if this is 36. I think it's like 27 after all the credits and everything too. If you're going to do this is what I said to people in the beginning. I'm concerned with shorter episodes. And like, why? These other shows do it. I'm like, yeah, but when Star Wars or Marvel or DC or whoever it is has to put all these big action things and big fights like this, the whole episode is a fight, and then you get little pieces of the dialogue, and the little pieces of the dialogue and some of the things they were telling the story furthered the story with Manny when he was like, well, there's something with him and Saul, and we got that. We understand that. There's a little bit more there. So, but when you only have 26 minutes, you can't develop an attachment. You just can't. It just goes so quick that by the time, and then even Yord had more to do than Jackie did, and I never really liked Yord. So the one thing I'll give Yord is that he wasn't a puss. Yord, any single time, he wasn't like, oh, I don't know if I should fight. He was taking Osha out because Soul told him to, and he was doing the right Jedi Master says, you got to do this. He's like, I got to go and I got to do this, and you got to do it with me. But then he realizes, all right, I got to go back and fight, and he jumped right into the fight in honorable death. So I'll give props to Yord on that side. Didn't love the character, but I give props to him.
I see now, seeing his full story ended, I did like him now as a character because, and again, this is what the actor did with it. He was something different in the Jedi that we haven't seen. He wasn't a cocky guy, but he was.
Yes, he was. He was a little cocky in the beginning.
He was just like, "This is what I do."
Hard ass,
good
maybe.
At it.
Maybe you're right.
There's a difference between being cocky and being confident. That guy was confident in what he could do.
I think you're right.
And he showed up, did what he had to do, but when you needed to, he was like, "You were right. We got to do this." Like, I liked him as a character, and the death made sense. Like,
yeah.
So he like this. His episode, I'm like, everything about him worked for me.
He was redeemed a little bit more in my eyes, but it doesn't change the fact that when he got his neck cracked, I wasn't like, oh man, it was like, okay, yeah, because he just didn't want to attach it. And that's the other thing. This is my favorite comment that I saw. Someone on the reaction said, when are you going to realize that Star Wars is just for kids? So the dialogue, it's just for kids. And I was like, murder through the chest and cracking necks are for kids? Like, since when?
That's the default of anyone that when you have an argument, like, you've got to remember, this is space wizards and laser swords. It's for kids. I get it. It's fairy tales and stories, but that doesn't. Okay.
Yeah, but there was a tone that they set
too. Comic books are for kids too, but we got the Joker.
Right. They set a tone. Like, they set a tone.
They set the tone, and we're going along for the ride on the tone.
Yeah, it's like that. That episode last night was not made for kids. It was a dark episode where people were dying left and right, and brutally. And brutally,
got their heads cut off. We didn't see it. Right. It was off camera, but they're still getting their heads cut off.
It was brutal, and and I will say, they were trying to dupe you a little bit with the reveal of the witch, because there is that line of, "Oh, my mom used to do that," and then you're like, "Oh, okay." So I guess this means that here comes the reveal of the Zabrak, and they didn't do that, but it was. We talked about this last week on the Vegas betting odds. If you were going to go and you're going to say, all right, who's going to be the Sith? It's going to either be, I would have put the number one as the Zabrak. Most people had nobody was surprised when it was this guy. No, who was surprised? No. I would have been more surprised if it was Carrie-Anne Moss, and I was hoping, but it didn't turn out to be. But I did think that Manny Jacinto did an absolutely incredible job as the villain. Got his arms all jacked up, so I think he's gonna. I mean, I believed him. I believed him when he was fighting. I believed him when he was delivering his lines, whether they were good lines or bad lines. I still believed him. So, again, there were some positives.
Yeah, I just want to know more about him. Like, he is so interesting. So I'd like to see where he trained or who he trained under. Like, who was originally his master? Did he have one? And just more about him. But I also can't not talk about, again, the opportunity for Osha to talk to her twin after years and years apart.
Right.
And like not giving her even the space to communicate. And are we just assuming now that she did start the fire? Because like physically that doesn't make sense still in a rock cave for a book to start this fire. Or are we going to get to that? And if we do get to that, then why didn't she just say it to her?
Yeah.
Why didn't she just say, I don't know how the fire started that big. All I did was burn the book. Like, you should ask the Jedi. So, like, I was just like screaming at the screen, like, if you didn't do that, then say it. Yeah. But if you did, then like I need you guys to communicate more.
Sure. And
then why does Osha care so much about the Jedi and then she left it? Like, I need to know that too.
I don't think she left though, Steph. I don't think she left, because you remember that scene in the last one where, and they didn't explain this either, but when Saul was like, I need you to come with me, and she's like, can I join? I can join the Order again? And he's like, I don't know about that.
Okay, so then even if, that's true. So that's the case, then why are you dick riding so hard for the Jedi when they didn't even want you? But your sister, your twin, the person you shared a womb with, wants to be your best friend and your family, and you're like, but the Jedi, they didn't want you, girl. They don't want you.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to that, for sure. There is.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see how they explain it. We'll see. I want to kind of wrap up in a second too, but real quick, got to tell you guys just very fast. I want to let you guys know both about Built. I've told you about Built, and of course, you know our buddies over at AG1. Here you go. And I got to tell you about AG1. You guys know AG1. I mean, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you know that I love AG1, and people keep asking me. They notice. John even said when I started, new look, 20 pounds I lost. One of those reasons, AG1 became part of my routine. Because for a long time, I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in my body. It just wasn't. For me, I read labels. I verify that everything is up to the quality I need. And that is why I've stayed with AG1 for as long as I have. It is a research-backed foundational nutrition supplement. and it delivers daily nutrients, gut health support, and is backed by multiple research studies so you can trust what you're putting into your body. Because I like coffee. I used to drink so much coffee to keep up, but I don't need it anymore, not as much. Because after drinking AG1, I have realized that I have all this energy and I need less coffee to power my day. It turns out I'm not alone. Because in a research study, 91% of people noticed they needed less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. That's crazy. 91% of participants noticed that they need less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. That's me. Energy is a majorly important reason why it comes to I need so much energy for parenting. I can tell you that right now. AG1 contains ingredients to sustain energy so you can be the best version of yourself within each day. And it really has worked for me, and it's helped me on the plane, everything. It's easy, it's satisfying to start your journey with AG1. If you go to AG1 and you can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. You got to go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. It's the one product I trust to support my whole body health. It's AG1. All right, you know what stinks? When you're stuck in a loop of rent payments, you're just watching your money vanish into thin air. It's the worst. It's time to turn the rent game around and start earning some serious rewards. How do you do that? That is where Built Rewards comes in. Built is breaking ground as the first rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Doesn't matter, even if you're rocking the old school rent check vibes, Built Rewards, it's got your back. They're going to mail the check for you. It's like basically having a personal rent paying assistant. It's the best. Every month, you pay your rent and you watch the points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points towards a flight or a hotel stay with 500 plus airlines and 700,000 plus hotels and properties. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/bigthing. That is joinbilt.com/bigthing. All right, thank you to our friends over at Built and AG1. Thank you for supporting the show the way that you have. Built just came back because people were checking it out. AG1 has been with us for over 2.5 years because you guys have been checking it out. That's what helps the show. So continue to do that. Get something for yourself. Check it out. All right, wrapping up, or just kind of coming to the, I guess, the last of the conversation. First of all, is there anything that we kind of missed on? Because with a 26-minute episode or whatever it was, covering the majority of the fight, we covered Yord's death, we covered Jecky's death, we covered all the extras' deaths. And someone had mentioned that too. They said, "How come you don't think?" Because Obi-Wan was able to fight a Sith, how come Jecky couldn't do it? Because these were the two that were fighting, and they were in the prequels. We were established that particular way. If there were a whole bunch of Jedi, like a ton of Jedi fighting against Darth Maul at that point, you would assume they would all taken him out, right?
Right.
From the way that they had set that up, that it seems that way. This Sith is battling experienced Jedi, we assume. Otherwise, why do you bring him on the mission?
Right.
And then you have the Padawan, who's not as experienced as the rest of those Jedi, who's holding court way better than those Jedi did. And that was my overall point. I'm like, how is the Padawan doing just as good? If the Padawan would have just, if there was no other, if the extras, the Jedi weren't there, and the first battle was Jecky versus him, I'm like, whoa, look at Jecky go. She can hold her own. And there's no comparison to the more experienced Jedi there. You just assume that the more experienced Jedi will do just as good, if not better, because they're more experienced Jedi.
And
right.
Yeah,
it goes back to the first episode because they're showing her in the
right.
Show her be a badass and go. She like, Master, I'm better than.
I want to see her in battle.
I'm so good at this.
Right.
Well, settle down. She's like, in like proving herself how better she is than all these people. It would have been a cool little character thing that we haven't seen in a Padawan. Like this kind of like almost, I don't want to say arrogance like Anakin, but like, you know, and her having to battle that like because she wants to be a Jedi and she needs to go in this way, but it just because it's Daphne Keenan, it's the lead. They have to get rid of the extras.
Yeah, I mean it was clear as day. That's what they were doing. It's like,
and then it doesn't make sense for his line where he kills her and Solix is like, but she was just a child. She was kicking my ass, pal. You damn right I killed her. Damn right I did. And number one, hey, numbnuts, you're the one that brought this child on this mission.
Right. She was kicking my ass. Steph, any follow up on that?
I agree. I just she was sick. She like her fight scene was my favorite portion of the episode. She is so cool, but I didn't even think about her introduction because I just am trying to give this show as much leeway as possible, but that is an excellent point. She is a novice.
With Steph, it's like we can only judge the show on what we're given.
Right.
And that's what we were given.
Right.
It's true.
So it's it's going against what they gave us.
Yeah.
3 episodes ago, which in time-wise is probably a couple days.
But it's also now the question is kind of where it goes from here, because
who knows?
Well, I know, but from what you just said, Mike, of what they have given us, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's benefit of the doubt and crossing fingers of what Steph said. You want to hope that Saul knows something's up. He's just going to get May somewhere. They're going to arrest her, try to figure it out. Okay, the shit rat knew it was you the whole time. I knew it was you. And now take us to this guy. And it seems like that Darth Nobody wants to turn, Osha, which would be a good twist if it turned out that Osha is ultimately the one who goes down the dark side and becomes the Acolyte. Okay, great. That's ultimately looks like where they're trying to go with this. And if they do that and they start to go down that path, but the question in between of all that is, do they make that phone call and say, hey, guess what? Well, we just figured out Jedi Temple, what we have going on. Or does the whole ship blow up and all the technology to call people doesn't work? Because that's all that people are asking. How do they not know that the Sith have been extinct for millennia? Well, how do they know? How do they not know about what just went down? Everybody has to die, right? You would assume.
Right. That's the only, I thought Saul was going to die because of that. Because we talked about that last week where we're like, everyone has to die. And then everyone was dying.
Right.
And then when Saul was getting defeated for a second, I was like, okay, that makes sense. The twins will just be alive, and that I understand them not reporting back. But then he survives. So obviously there's more to do with his character. And I hope that it's a rewarding find.
Yeah, and how at this point, and let's say they do make a phone call, which they shouldn't, but if they do, and wait, and here's another thing. So in the prequels, Anakin is, who knows how far away he is on Tatooine from Coruscant when shit's going down, right? When he's killing sand people and all that, and Yoda's taking a nap and he wakes up and he goes, oh, something just went down. When all these Jedi are getting killed left and right during Order 66,
that's a good point.
Yoda feels it. What?
Right.
Where's Yoda? In the Bahamas? What's he doing? Where is he? How does he not?
Yaddle.
How does he not? Yeah, they're yaddling it up.
How do all the Jedi at the temple not go, ooh?
Right. How do they not feel?
Wrong.
How do they not feel something is going on? Like, it's like all of those Jedi. No one senses it. No one senses it. It's like the whole point is that they could sense these things, and no one, like Yoda literally clutches himself when he felt all that death, and there's more of it right here.
And it's just Anakin killing sand people.
That was that point of it, right? That was that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they're not paying attention to, like you said, Mike, what came before them.
And again, if you're playing in that sandbox, you've got to know the limits of your sandbox. You've got to understand, all right, these are the parameters we're in. I thought for a lot, when they said we're going to tell the story of the Acolyte, I thought they were going to go so far before this that they wouldn't have to worry about anything that came before. Like, we are in an area that we don't need to deal with. We're going to be, we'll tell the story and it'll wrap up in a way that nothing there was the Sith, they appeared, they took care of everyone that went to find them, and then it was that. Yeah. I mean, we don't know what happened.
Well, I don't mind the time period. I really don't mind the time period that much, because it's execution, and that's why I truly do understand when people were saying, on my immediate reaction, how do you? This had everything we wanted in Star Wars. It had the fighting, it had the lightsabers, it had the music, it had all this stuff. How do you not like it? And I understand where you can get caught up in that. I really do. And I understand it, because you're like, that's what I want to see in Star Wars. For the longest time, they weren't doing it, and we got to see that. What the hell are you talking about, Harloff? You boomer? I get it. I understand it. But it is so hard for me to say, how do you overlook all these story points of all these things that are going on that have not made sense? And I saw people going, I hated the first 4 episodes, but the 5th one was great. I'm like, yeah, but the first 4 is the reason that I felt the same way I did in the 5th when I was watching it, going, this story makes sense.
A lot of times when writers get into an IP or whatever, or the book writers that want to play in the sandbox, they want to dive into the lore and make sure it's like, oh, I'm going to do this and it's going to connect to this. And because Star Wars fans love those deep cuts. They love oh man, that reference to this and this. But this seems like it doesn't care. It's just telling the story it wants to tell and disregard. And I can see Kathleen Kennedy or whoever going, don't worry about that. Tell the story you want to tell.
Yeah, definitely.
But like you said with Gilroy, he wanted to tell the story he wanted to tell, but he had people going, yep, nope, do this because that'll connect to this.
It seems like
okay, that works.
Where's Filoni at this? And when you say,
I think he's busy. Well, he's busy on his movie.
But when you also say that thing about the fact Yoda wasn't available, the puppet wasn't available, it's like, make him available. Find out a time to make him available. And this is, and by the way, this is it looks orange here, but it's red.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I love this thing. I really do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There it goes. And you can hear like the sound effect on it too. You can change it up. You can change all that stuff. Anyway, sorry. I love it. I love it.
It is dope.
You know, it's funny. Even as much as I didn't care for Ahsoka or but a lot of what we talk about with Bail and Shin and stuff, Balin and Shin, we were never like, oh, this goes against this.
No, they felt like they fit
in there.
Yeah. I loved them. They were just abandoned in the last episode. They were great. They were some of the they were great. The two of them.
That's not contradicting anything.
No,
it's still kind of in it.
No, the characters
for the ride.
But that is another problem though. Those characters were probably the 2 most interesting characters in all of the damn series, and then they were just abandoned in the last episode. Like I think they were in 5 minutes of the finale or something along the lines like that. And it's like, it's a constant thing. It's a constant thing. So, and once again, to the inevitable comments that are coming in, when you are looking at something with a critical eye and how you are looking at it, it doesn't mean that you are hating. Like, it means that you're just not enjoying something. Hating is something is a very, very vicious word, and it is an irresponsible word when you're throwing it out there to say something along those lines too. And I saw it a couple times in my things, like, you're a hater, you're this. I'm like, no, I just didn't like the episode. And if you and that was, why do you keep watching Star Wars if you don't like this show? Because I don't like this show, I should stop watching Star Wars in general? What kind of logic is that? That's weird. You're kind of a weird person to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is overall what the other side of that is, if you liked this episode and you contradict everything that we just said, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. I'm so glad as where Steph, it's paining Steph. It is, she's in pain that she doesn't like this show. She is in pain that she is the most positive person that I know and does not like to talk shit about anybody or anything, but she's honest. She's not a hater. She's being honest. And she doesn't want to. She wants to be loving this show, and she wants to tell Mike and I how crazy we are. But she can't. And in this particular instance, there are other people who can. So do it and tell us in the comments, but be respectful. There are tons of people in the comments yesterday. I'd say 80% would say, and I loved it. I saw tons of people who were like, listen, most times I'm on board with you. Not this time, man. I love this episode, and here's why. Do that all day. But stop calling names and stop being in your high horse with your freaking, your generation thing that you're doing. Like, oh, here's another guy who's just doing this. It's like, just stop typing and take a nap.
Yeah, take a nap is like very good advice.
Thank you. Anyway, we did it. We did the spoiler review here, and I'm hoping. Look, I'm with you, Steph. Because there was enough things here, and as I said, I went back on what I said in the immediate reaction. It's definitely the better of the 5 episodes after doing the rewatch on it, and there are things inside of it that I can say, fingers crossed, that they can put some stuff together. You need longer episodes. You gotta decide what the hell you want to do in this show. But I don't know, Mike. Can they come back from this? Do you think, in your opinion, for you?
I'm going off of what we've been given in the past, and they never stick the landing.
Okay.
They never go, yep, that wrapped up in a satisfying way. You're just kind of like, oh, like you said with Balin and Shin. Oh, this kind of wrapped their story up.
Right.
Okay. Like like I don't know what the story is at this point. Yeah. What's the plot? What are we doing? What is the mission? What are we trying to solve?
And you don't think we can get there in the next episode to give you a little bit more?
But what are we trying to get to? I can't answer that.
Right.
To answer if it's going to get there.
Steph, think we're going to get there? I know you're hoping that we get there, but do you think we're going to get there?
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe. They do 3-hour-long episodes, sans credits. Yeah. Maybe we get there.
Maybe we get there.
No, because I do
doing
think
3 more 27-minute episodes. No way.
It's going to be too tough.
I think that there is like this palpable air of I want to gotcha at the end where they're holding a lot of things, and I think they want to have that ending land. So in that sense, I'm like, maybe it does land because it feels like that's what they're going for.
You know how it's going to end?
How? Oh, should be in bed.
Saul dies.
Yeah.
Ki-Adi-Mundi looks to the other people that know. He goes, okay, this can never be known. Not another word is spoken of this. Dun, 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 credits go up. That's it. I guarantee that's how it's going to end. That solves Ki-Adi-Mundi saying the line, and it wraps it up in a way that's not very satisfying. That's what's going to happen.
I hope you're wrong.
Me too.
Anyway, all right. Well, tell us. Nice episode. So, what? Overall, Steph, where can they find you?
At Steph Sabra on the World Girls.
Mike.
At Mike Kalinowski.
Easy. And
done.
We ask you guys. You see this right here? Not this, but this. That's the subscribe button. Hit it. And make sure that you be part of this conversation. I had an interview for those people who are Stranger Things fans. I had on Jamie Campbell Bower for over an hour. We talked about a lot of different things. We talked about Game of Thrones. We talked about Stranger Things. We talked about his new movie. And I hope that you guys will check out the interview. Really, really, really had a great conversation. Hope you dig it. And yeah, I got an out of the theater reaction of Quiet Place Day 1 coming out tonight. So stick for that review. If you hit the subscribe button, you won't miss it. I have some other things coming out. I'm going to try to catch up to the boys. The Bear season 3 is coming out this week. I'm going to try to watch as many of those as I can. And Dark Matter wrapped up, and I'm going to finish that, and I'll have a review out for that. So for Steph Sabra and Mike Kalinowski, I'm me. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
You're you.